The Acehnese War was a long and bloody conflict, one that would leave an indelible mark on the history of Southeast Asia. It raged from 1873 to 1904, spanning over 3 decades of intense and brutal warfare. The fight was between the Kingdom of Aceh and the Dutch, a colonial power determined to expand its empire. Aceh, located on the northern tip of Sumatra, had a proud history. They were fiercely independent, known for their resilience and determination. They had successfully resisted foreign powers for centuries, building a legacy of defiance and strength. The Acehnese people were known for their strong Islamic faith, which played a central role in their society and resistance efforts. They were also skilled seafarers and traders, navigating the waters with expertise and contributing to the region's economy. Their strategic location along busy shipping routes gave them an important role in regional trade, making Aceh a coveted prize for any colonial power. The Dutch East India Company, seeking to expand its control in the region, saw Aceh as a threat to their ambitions and a key to their dominance. The stage was set for a clash of 2 very different cultures and ambitions, a confrontation that would shape the future of the region and leave a lasting legacy. In the 19th century, the Dutch East India Company's power declined. The Dutch government took direct control of its colonies. This included the areas surrounding Aceh. The Dutch signed treaties with these surrounding sultanates. This alarmed the Acehnese. They saw it as a threat to their independence. A treaty was signed in 1871 between the Dutch and the British. This treaty gave the Dutch control over Aceh's trade. This angered the Acehnese. They felt betrayed. They saw it as a violation of their sovereignty. The Dutch argued that the treaty was necessary. They said it would bring stability to the region. However, the treaty only served to increase tensions. In 1873, the Dutch launched a surprise attack on the Acehnese capital, Bandar Aceh. They underestimated the Acehnese, believing that their superior weaponry and military tactics would quickly overwhelm the local forces. However, they were in for a rude awakening. The Acehnese fought back with ferocity. They were not just defending their land, they were defending their way of life, their culture, and their sovereignty. The Acehnese warriors, skilled in guerrilla tactics and deeply motivated by their cause, proved to be formidable opponents. They inflicted heavy casualties on the Dutch. The initial Dutch forces, unprepared for such fierce resistance, found themselves in a dire situation. The Acehnese used their intimate knowledge of the terrain to their advantage, launching surprise attacks and ambushes that left the Dutch reeling. The Dutch were forced to retreat. This unexpected turn of events was a significant blow to Dutch morale and their plans for a swift conquest. The retreat marked a temporary victory for the Acehnese, who celebrated their success with renewed vigor. This initial victory boosted the morale of the Acehnese. It was a powerful reminder of their strength and resilience. The victory was not just a military success but also a symbolic one, reinforcing their belief in their ability to defend their homeland against a powerful colonial force. It convinced them that they could defeat the Dutch. The Acehnese leaders and fighters were more determined than ever to continue their resistance. They strategized and prepared for the inevitable return of the Dutch forces, knowing that the battle was far from over. The Dutch were shocked by the strength of the Acehnese resistance. The initial failure forced them to reconsider their approach. Dutch military commanders who had expected a quick victory were now faced with the reality of a prolonged and challenging conflict. They realized that conquering Aceh would not be easy. They regrouped, bringing in reinforcements and planning a more comprehensive strategy. The Dutch were determined to subdue Aceh, but they now understood that it would require a much greater effort and resources. They sent in more troops and launched a second attack on Bandar Aceh. This time, the Dutch were better prepared and more determined. The battle was intense, with both sides showing incredible bravery and tenacity. Despite their strong resistance, the Acehnese could not withstand the Dutch firepower. The superior weaponry and sheer numbers of the Dutch forces eventually overwhelmed the Acehnese defenders. The Dutch captured the capital in 1874. This marked a significant moment in the Acehnese War, but the spirit of resistance among the Acehnese people remained unbroken. The fall of Bandar Aceh did not end the war. The Acehnese retreated into the jungles and mountains. They launched a guerrilla war against the Dutch. This proved highly effective. The Dutch soldiers, unfamiliar with the terrain, were constantly ambushed. They suffered heavy losses. The Acehnese used their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. They built hidden fortifications. They launched surprise attacks on Dutch patrols. Their resistance was fueled by their strong religious beliefs. They saw the war as a holy struggle against invaders. The Dutch were frustrated. They found themselves bogged down in a war that seemed to have no end. Section 5. Teuku Umar, from ally to rebel leader. One of the most prominent figures of the Acehnese resistance was Teuku Umar. Initially, Teuku Umar cooperated with the Dutch. He believed that collaboration was the best way to protect his people's interests. However, he became disillusioned with the Dutch. He realized they were not true to their word. In 1893, Teuku Umar, along with his followers, defected to the Acehnese side. He brought with him valuable knowledge of Dutch tactics and weaponry. This defection was a major blow to the Dutch. It reinvigorated the Acehnese resistance. Teuku Umar's strategic brilliance and charisma made him a formidable opponent. Section 6. A change of tactics. The Dutch fight fire with fire. The prolonged guerrilla war took a toll on the Dutch. They realized that their conventional tactics were ineffective, so they adopted a new strategy. This strategy focused on counterinsurgency measures. They aimed to cut off the Acehnese from their support base. The Dutch implemented a scorched earth policy. They destroyed villages suspected of harboring rebels. They confiscated food supplies. They also introduced a pass system. This restricted the movement of Acehnese people. These harsh measures were intended to break the back of the resistance. However, they also caused immense suffering among the civilian population. Section 7. The long road to defeat. Aceh falls to the Dutch. Despite their fierce resistance, the Acehnese were gradually worn down. The Dutch, with their superior firepower and ruthless tactics, gradually gained the upper hand. The death of Teuku Umar in 1901, killed in action against the Dutch, was a significant setback for the Acehnese. By 1903, most of Aceh was under Dutch control. The last remaining Acehnese leaders surrendered in the following year. With the fall of Aceh, the Dutch finally achieved their goal of complete domination over Sumatra. However, their victory came at a high price. Section 8. A bitter victory, the cost of war and its lasting scars. The Acehnese War had devastating consequences for the Acehnese people. Tens of thousands of Acehnese perished in the conflict. Countless others died from famine and disease caused by the war. The war shattered the Acehnese economy. Their once thriving trade networks were destroyed. The Dutch, too, suffered heavy losses. The war drained their resources and manpower. It also tarnished their image internationally. The brutality of the war sparked criticism from within the Netherlands and abroad. Section 9. The Legacy of Defiance. Acehnese unbroken spirit. The Acehnese War, despite its tragic end, left an indelible mark on both the Dutch and Acehnese. This conflict, which lasted from 1873 to 1904, was one of the longest and most brutal wars of resistance against colonial rule in Southeast Asia. The Acehnese, known for their fierce independence and warrior culture, fought valiantly against the technologically superior Dutch forces. The war saw numerous battles, sieges, and guerrilla tactics employed by the Acehnese, who were determined to protect their homeland and way of life. For the Dutch, it served as a reminder of the high cost of colonial conquest. The Dutch military faced significant challenges, including unfamiliar terrain, tropical diseases, and the relentless resistance of the Acehnese fighters. The war drained Dutch resources and tested their resolve, ultimately leading to a re-evaluation of their colonial strategies in the region. For the Acehnese, it became a symbol of their indomitable spirit. The war highlighted the leadership and bravery of Acehnese leaders such as Teuku Umar and Kutniak Dien, who became national heroes. Their stories of resistance and sacrifice continue to inspire generations of Acehnese people. It solidified their identity as a people who resisted foreign rule. The collective memory of the war and the shared experience of resistance helped to forge a strong sense of national identity and pride among the Acehnese. This identity was further reinforced by cultural practices, oral traditions, and historical narratives that celebrated their defiance. The war is still remembered in Aceh today. Memorials and commemorative events serve as reminders of the sacrifices made by the Acehnese people. These sites and ceremonies play a crucial role in preserving the historical memory of the war and educating younger generations about their heritage. It is seen as a testament to the Acehnese people's courage and love for freedom. Cultural celebrations and traditional attire are not just expressions of heritage but also acts of remembrance and resistance. They symbolize the enduring spirit of the Acehnese people and their unwavering commitment to their cultural identity. The spirit of resistance fostered during the war continued to inspire Acehnese throughout the 20th century. This spirit was evident in various resistance movements and protests against external domination and internal oppression. The legacy of the Acehnese War provided a powerful narrative of resilience and defiance that fueled subsequent struggles for autonomy and justice. It played a significant role in their struggle for independence from Indonesia. The Acehnese drew upon their historical experience of resistance to challenge Indonesian rule, seeking greater autonomy and recognition of their unique cultural and historical identity. Key figures in this struggle were often inspired by the heroes of the Acehnese War, seeing themselves as part of a long tradition of defiance. The Acehnese War serves as a powerful reminder of the human cost of colonialism and the enduring power of resistance. It underscores the resilience of a people who, despite facing overwhelming odds, refused to surrender their freedom and identity. The legacy of the Acehnese War continues to resonate, reminding us of the importance of remembering and honoring those who fought for their homeland.